All right, you guys, I have the pleasure of introducing our next keynote. It's going to be with Gatik. We've got Saad. He's the VP of Strategic Initiatives over at Gatik, and he's going to be joined by Vik, the VP of Supply Chain Engineering at Walmart. Everybody, let's welcome them to the stage.
I'm Vik Gopalakrishnan. I lead our US fulfillment, mid-mile and last-mile innovation and automation at Walmart. And it's really exciting to be here today with you all, along with Saad from Gatik. And we want to share some of our insights on how we're leveraging mid-mile autonomous vehicle to better serve our customers. I'll say, here at Walmart, we've been doing a lot of work to learn how we can leverage autonomous vehicle and move the puck forward in terms of better serving our customers. And I can tell you this, over the years, based on all the learnings we've had, it is no longer a fiction. It is reality. And it's not a question of if, but when we will be able to scale it. And I think that is a big step in the progress that we've made over the last 3 years. Before I go further, Sam, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Vik, and good morning, everyone. Saad, VP of Strategic Initiatives at Gatik. I've been with the company now for a little bit over 3 years, and I have to tell you, in startup years, it's like living 1,000 lives. So Gatik, we came out of stealth. Do you want me to get into a bit of that story, Vik?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So we came out of stealth, which is a Silicon Valley word saying that we were doing a bunch of development work secretly, and then we announced publicly that we had a partnership with Walmart in 2019, summer of. And in that partnership, we announced that we were automating a route for Walmart going from a dark store location right here in Bentonville over to a neighborhood market. This was for e-com fulfillment. So essentially, with those dark stores, it was an ability, and I won't say too much here, to centralize some e-com fulfillment, ensuring that you had all SKU counts available online at a central location. And then our trucks, like Busy Bees, would essentially be loaded by Walmart associates, then drive themselves over to the neighborhood market multiple times per day, 7 days per week, 12 hours per day. So quick question, who here has seen a Gatik truck operating in Bentonville? All right. Okay, fantastic. So about 10-20% of the audience here. And I'll pause there for a second, turn it back to Vik, and carry on from there.
Oh, thank you. So, just to give you all a quick overview of how we think about these problems and why we picked up to solve this with autonomous vehicle. At Walmart, our goal is to make sure that we can deliver capacity, accuracy, and speed to our customers and be able to effective in moving the inventory from one node to another at sustainably low cost. And so when we think about that journey from a supply chain aspect, we break it into 3 big parts. One is the first mile, where we're moving inventory from our suppliers to our distribution centers and fulfillment centers. The next is the mid-mile, and mid-mile is quite complex in itself because there's several different ways we move inventory across our nodes. And so you think about moving inventory from a distribution center to a store, or from a DC to a fulfillment center. Those are part of mid-mile, but also we have inventory that we move across multiple nodes. Whether it be different from an FC to another FC or from another store to a market fulfillment center, as well as downstream all the way from a fulfillment center to our sortation centers and delivery stations. So mid-mile is in itself quite complex. Those are short routes, as well as where there is potential, for having partial loads as well. And so it is an important aspect to optimize to make sure that we're able to move with speed. And then when you think about last mile, that's when you move orders from the stores or from the fulfillment centers, from the delivery stations to the customer doorstep. And we believe autonomous vehicle has a role to play in all of those 3 segments, but specifically in the last mile space, we have done a lot of work. We partnered with Cruise, Argo, and Neuro and Waymo, and we've already delivered several thousand orders to our customers leveraging autonomous vehicles. But back in 2019, when we had the opportunity to look further closely into our market fulfillment strategy, we really had an opportunity to leverage autonomous vehicle in the mid-mile space. And so as Sam was saying, for those folks who are not familiar, we have a couple different concepts as we think about market fulfillment centers. One is inside the store we carve out a set amount of space to be able to be efficient in fulfilling online grocery orders for our customers, as well as we wanted to test out a dark store concept where there's a dedicated store, we call it the hub, that would pick, pack, and stage orders efficiently, and then we're able to then take it to the spoke stores, if you will, and where it is conveniently picked up by our customers to deliver. So in order for us to test out the constant transfer of orders that's picked in the hub to the spoke is where we wanted to have the test of autonomous vehicle capability. And so in 2019 we kicked off the pilot, and right here in Bentonville was our first pilot, and it was a 3.5-mile road, 7 miles round trip. And we started with 2 trucks, refrigerated, and we did about 6 deliveries per day through the course of the day. And I'll tell you, the performance during that phase has been quite impressive. We measure several different aspects, but before I go into it, I think the reason we partnered with Gatik, and I think Sam would be appropriate to talk about that a little bit, is when you think about Gatik, they're focused on the mid-mile aspect because it is a deterministic data-driven route, and their model helps us allow to move speed with those specific routes. And that was a big aspect, but coupled with their safety stack, which has multiple layers to it, enabled by radar, LiDAR, as well as camera screens, allowed us to feel confident that we can move forward with this pilot with them. And our first goal with the phase 1 was to make sure that we were able to establish a safe and reliable operation before we optimize it for performance. So maybe, Sam, at this point, I'll hand it over to you to share some of your learnings and also think a little. It would be interesting to understand why did you prioritize mid-mile autonomous vehicle over any other segments?
You got it. Thanks, Vik. So as you can imagine, from a startup perspective, everything Vik just said was music to our ears, because we had a hypothesis. We built our product around that hypothesis, but working with Walmart, which is a fantastic, fantastic partner to work with, by the way, as a startup, as a tech solution provider, because they'll give you feedback. And that is the most valuable thing when you're at an earlier stage. And in 2019, we were at an earlier stage. When I said I've lived 1,000 lives, this company has grown tremendously across those 3 years. But I want to bring us back 3 years ago, a little bit over. We had this product, and we thought that the middle mile was the right segment of the supply chain, of the transportation network to disrupt, because it was littered with known repeatable routes. I'll scope out for a second and just underscore a couple of items that Vik highlighted. So if you take a look at the supply chain at a very broad level, you really have long-haul trucking on one end. That's dominated by Class 8 trucks doing mostly on-highway moves. That's the far kind of, let's say, left end, maybe right on your side there from the audience, right, of the spectrum. On the other side, you have those last-mile moves, as Vik mentioned. That's mostly B2C, right, going from a store or some kind of fulfillment center directly to the customer. That's a very complex problem to solve because you have dynamic routing. It's not very helpful if you can only deliver to 3 addresses. You're not going to have much demand going from those 3 addresses, regardless of how big those households are. In the middle, though, you have those moves going from fulfillment centers, sort centers, micro-fulfillment centers to retail locations, or connecting those different types of assets to one another's, FC to SC, etc. The really cool part around automating that part of the supply chain is you get really good at driving the same route over and over and over and over again. So what are unstructured edge cases, you can now move into the structured domain just by driving them over and over again. What that means is you're not encountering something for the first time. You're not encountering a 5-way roundabout for the first time. You're not encountering a very busy bike lane at the end of a workday for the first time. We get to know those routes inside and out. We also get to know them seasonally. So we know if foliage is going to grow over a stop sign. We know if something's going to be covered in snow, for example. So again, we optimize for those particular routes, and we essentially white label route by route by route to get to a state of driverless, which is where the positive unit economics kick in, faster than some other players in the long haul kind of Class 8 space and the B2C moves. And we'll talk a bit about that, of course, right? Those of you who have seen the truck have probably seen it now operating driverlessly here in Bentonville as well, which is a bit of a global first. But so that's why the mid-mile, structured known edge cases essentially get to be moved into or unstructured edge cases get to be moved into the structured domain, which gets us to a nominal place of safety. Safety is table stakes in autonomy. The lack of safety is an existential threat to every single road user, to us as a company, and to the industry as a whole. When I say table stakes, is we start every meeting talking about safety, we end every meeting talking about safety. It is the paramount focus of any AV company, or at the very least it should be. In terms of performance, we were able to focus on the core KPIs, which really are supply chain and logistics KPIs. Are we picking up on time? Are we dropping off on time and in full? Nothing else really matters, along with safety, of course, right? But that's already table stakes. And we managed to hit over 99% pickup on time, over 99% drop off on time and in full. So at the end of the day, we are supporting Walmart in meeting their promises to their customers, which is you can place an order and in 3 hours and have access to our full SKU count because it's being picked at the centralized location, and in 3 hours you're going to have access to that order in time and in full. Pause there for a sec, Vik. Back to you.
No, that's a key point. I think, the phase one was, like I said, like our goal was to make sure that we have a safe and reliable operation and just making sure we have zero safety incidents. We want to go slow to go fast and making sure that we can establish high levels of reliability, whether it's like, on-time pickup and making sure that you're able to hand off a load, without any damages is important. And when you think about the hub and spoke concept that we were testing, orders come into the hub stores, you're picking and packing, and then you gotta make sure that it arrives at the spoke store on time for the customers to either pick up or for the delivery drivers to pick it up and deliver. And it's important to make sure that we maintain tight SLA and we're able to have reliable operations. So I think the results from phase one was quite exciting for us, but also just one thing that might be worth calling out is, we wanted to make sure that we have this journey and work partner with Gatik closely in the journey is where we started off with making sure we map the specific route, feel comfortable that we can start there, and then we started with a driver, an autonomous vehicle driver, you call it in the vehicle, make sure that we're mapping and capturing all the edge cases, if you will. Then the driver moves over to the passenger seat, and we're making sure we can passively and actively intervene as needed. And then eventually we work towards autonomous vehicles. So we all through phase one had a driver either in the driver's seat or in the passenger seat, making sure that we're establishing basic levels of safety. And so as we felt comfortable with that phase, it was felt appropriate for us to scale to the next stage where we went into our store in New Orleans, and same concept of hub and spoke, but this time this was a 20-mile distance between the hub and the spoke store, and so it's about almost 40 miles round trip, and so that introduces its whole level of complexity and variability that's associated with it. And it was important for us to make sure that we test all those variability before we can any scale, any solution. I mean, given Walmart scale with 4,500 stores, it's important to make sure that we're thinking about at that scale and ensuring we're capturing all the variability in the different markets. So we entered there with 4 trucks, and this time we wanted to make sure that we started with internal combustion engine vehicles, and we switched over to electric vehicle, which is a big part of our strategy. We had committed to making sure that we have zero emissions by 2040, and so we wanted to be purposeful and be sustainable in ensuring, and we moved towards autonomy as well. So I think that was a big step in the journey, and so we started testing out the electric vehicle in that space, and we'll talk a little bit about the results, but also in parallel, we were continuing to iterate the Bentonville route. And in 2020, we had first driverless, fully autonomous mid-mile commercial route, for perpetually, continuing on an ongoing basis. And so I think that was a major milestone, Sam, and I really like to hear your thoughts on why you find it, a major milestone and what was needed to unlock that capability.
You got it. Thanks, Vik. So slight edit there, 2021, August of last year. I always kind of add or subtract 1 year because of the pandemic. I can never kind of figure out where I am in time. But it was August 2021. So I'll speak first to our expansion to Louisiana and then show them the video. Yeah? Okay, cool. So expansion to Louisiana. As Vik mentioned, the pilot here in Bentonville was going well. And when I say that Walmart's a fantastic partner to work with, I really mean that. They challenge us. They tell us exactly what they want. They hold us to a very high standard. They push us to excel. But in developing those very rigorous experimentations, they push us to develop great product sooner. And what I mean by that is we deployed February 2020 North America's first Class 2 electric autonomous vehicle. And that was in this Louisiana 40-mile loop round trip. What was really cool about that is we wanted to validate that for middle mile use cases, you could electrify vehicles sooner. The reason you can do that is you put a charger at the hub and you get an opportunity charge while the vehicle is being loaded. So you can essentially run these beasts day in and day out, 20 hours a day. You're just taking those 4 hours to kick the tires, do your daily inspections, 4-point inspections for servicing and maintenance. But aside from that, you can run these vehicles nonstop. In this particular case, we were running them about 12 hours a day. So imagine this, the vehicle shows up at the hub. As it docks, and gets loaded in about 30 minutes or so, it's also getting that first charge. Then it does its first run. Next vehicle, because we had multiple, as Vik mentioned, operating here. Next vehicle goes into the hub while that first vehicle is doing the first drop off to the spoke location. And these vehicles just kept going back and forth throughout the day. Unlike some other use cases, you don't have to choose range over payload because you get that opportunity charge day in and day out. And it was very cool to validate that because obviously, Walmart has some very lofty and noble sustainability targets, and one of the core ways to address those is through transportation. So we're very proud to be able to address those, to help Walmart be able to address those sustainability targets. Even cooler, maybe, I'm not sure, I'll let you all decide. Now, in Bentonville, at that same time, we were looking to remove the driver. Again, we focus on the safety and operational goals, but none of this makes economic sense if we're keeping the driver in the vehicle. So we've done lots of talking. I'm going to pause for a second and show you a video of what it looked like to remove the driver for the first time in North America on regular, ongoing commercial goods movement operations. And that's a key distinction. This wasn't a one-off run where we did R&D, where we tested and went back to the lab. These vehicles were operating 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, moving goods for Walmart customers without a driver in the driving seat. So if we can please cue up the video.
every time I see that video, like it seems like fiction, but like I said, like it's amazing that to see the progress we've made all the way starting from having an onboard autonomous vehicle operator to going fully driverless. So it is a major accomplishment, and I think it unlocks a lot of different capabilities. We'll talk a little bit about how we're thinking from a strategy standpoint, how we think about leveraging this capability. But maybe, Sam, it might be appropriate for you to share, like, it feels like it was a very fluid journey, but like, what were some of the unlocks, both from a technology standpoint as well as a regulation standpoint, you had to go through to make sure that we're able to deliver fully autonomous capability?
Absolutely. Pretty cool, eh? So one of the reasons Gatik was founded was to solve a real-world problem, right? The three founders of the company have deep technical expertise. They were involved with the additional DARPA challenges. If folks are familiar with those desert races, essentially, the first one was a desert race. And what they kept seeing was maybe a narrative that you also were exposed to, which is AVs are coming, right? From 2014, 15, they always seem to be 2-3 years away. So one of the core approaches that the company took was, let's commercialize a real-world problem today. Let's constrain the problem and target that problem. Hence the middle mile, hence that structured autonomy, hence focusing on repeatable known routes and really hyper-optimizing for those particular routes. So in terms of the journey to get there, first we needed to figure out if there was product market fit. And we're able to do that. We're able to validate that with Walmart initially and then expand from there. Second one was, do we have the right go-to-market strategy? So even if we have product market fit, who do we speak with at Walmart to see if there's an interest on their side of things? How do we position the product? How do we position pricing? How do we position the opportunity for growth thereafter? So we really needed to work through all of that. And finally, we needed to validate that the technology works, right? And that's where we get to building that safety case. Building a safety case is absolutely critical for any tech stack, and I would also argue that it's critical for any tech stack in any new or specific application. The way that you build a safety case is you run millions of miles in simulation, and then you run X number of miles on road with the proper redundancies in place. So what are those redundancies? First, they're at the stack level, and Vik already mentioned these, right? It's a full sensor suite, so we use radars, cameras, LiDARs, and mapping technology, all four, and fuse that. And secondly, we have redundancy across those particular sensors. Part of that redundancy is also redundancy in the vehicle controls level. So you need to make sure that you have automotive-grade safety across the entire stack. That means no single point of failure. It's, as I said, an existential risk. So we did that. We also had the AVO, or autonomous vehicle operator, in the vehicle initially. That's another point of redundancy. So should the AV stack go down, and this can be a minor, go down can essentially mean that it doesn't know whether it should make a right turn 1 inch before it approaches the intersection, 1 inch plus minus, right? But that's what we're calibrating for with an autonomous vehicle operator on board the vehicle. We have a 100% safety record, as Vik mentioned, but of course it's very important to underscore that. 100% safety record. And when we reach the nominal state of building that safety case, we'd run enough miles in simulation, run enough miles on road with the safety operator on board the vehicle, in consultation with Walmart and in consultation with local regulators, we decided it was time to remove the driver. On the regulatory side, again, we worked hand in glove with Walmart to become the first technology company to receive a permit from the Arkansas Highway State Commission to operate autonomous vehicles on public roads in the state of Arkansas. Once we reached that safety case, we then went back to the regulatory body we had a very good relationship with, showed them the safety case that I keep referring to, and we're also the first company to receive a permit to operate fully driverlessly here in the state of Arkansas. So we work hand in glove with regulators, and I'll share a little bit about my personal background here. I was government adjacent in a different jurisdiction. So I was there when technology companies were saying in 2014, 15, this technology is coming, you better get ready. And you know what? Regulators got ready, and they actually got ready in many ways faster than some technology companies. So I really applaud the work that was done across different regulatory bodies. The second piece I'll kind of underscore there is all AV regulation for our use case, which is intrastate, not interstate, and for class 3 to class 6 vehicles, which is what we operate, are done at the state level. So there aren't federal regulators involved currently in that. So we really go state by state. We've also, just to give a bit of a prelude and maybe start shifting the conversation in a forward-looking lens, this year alone, again, working with Walmart, we were able to influence policy and ensure that Kansas and the state of Oklahoma have also passed legislation which allows for class 3 to class 6 fully driverless operations. So this is in preparation, of course, for scaling and growing.
Oh, that's very insightful, Sam. So I think as we think about path forward from here, I mean, again, we're continuing to work closely with Gatik on these, the use case that we identified and optimizing. So as our market fulfillment strategy evolves, we plan to lean in on there. But I think in general, when we think about mid-mile, I think in the application of autonomous vehicle, whenever we have short, frequent routes to move inventory and potentially where we might have a partial load, those were some of those inventory moves between nodes that was not viable in the past because of the cost and the frequency at which you had to do it. An autonomous vehicle, we believe, unlocks that. And so that is an important aspect. So as we think about continuing to serve our customers in better ways, make sure we can have the right items that they're ordering at the right place and being able to fulfill their order on time and be able to do so faster than ever before, those mid-mile become an essential aspect of optimizing. And so there's plenty of different use cases we're evaluating with Gatik and saying, how do we leverage autonomous vehicle to optimize those routes and unlock those value for our customers? So, I'll talk about one of those use cases maybe here. So when we think about our regional fulfillment centers, these are, so we have regional fulfillment centers and market fulfillment centers. So regional fulfillment centers have extended assortment and pretty much, serves the torso and tail of our assortment, whereas the market fulfillment centers are more closer to the customer and has our head assortment or fastest moving items closer to the customer. So regional fulfillment centers ship those items to a sortation center, and sortation center is where we're receiving packages from multiple regional fulfillment centers, and we're sorting those packages to the different downstream delivery hubs, and both third party and our own, including some of our stores, and then from our stores and delivery stations, we're able to launch delivery vehicles to make sure that we're delivering those to the customer doorstep. So one of the things we're looking at is how do we efficiently move in orders from the sortation center to our stores in a very cost-effective manner, because what that allows us to do is extend the order cutoff time so customers can order later in the day and still be able to get a faster service, as well as be able to drive a lot of reliability, because we talked about some of the capabilities we're unlocking with the autonomous vehicle, making sure we have a reliable route that we can run between these different nodes helps us make sure that we can improve on our promise to our customers as well. So I think that is one of the capabilities we're getting ready to evaluate next with Gatik. And I'll say in general about Walmart, I think given our scale, when we see we unlock capability and customers are reacting to that value proposition, we're able to leverage our scale and move much more faster. So we're really excited about the partnership that we've had with Gatik and look forward to unlocking a lot of value for our customers leveraging autonomous vehicle. Sam, maybe any closing thoughts from you and how you feel about the path forward?
That's fantastic. Yeah, we obviously very excited. Moving upstream is a great opportunity for Gatik, and we want to continue to unlock value for Walmart customers. In that move upstream, we are going to larger vehicles. So the vehicle that you saw on screen here is a class 3 vehicle with a 11-foot box, essentially refrigerated. We're moving up to class 6 vehicles with a 26-foot box. So it does unlock quite a bit of value. And fundamentally, we're here to own the middle mile as a company. And we know that the future is autonomous, and we're very proud to be bringing that future to bear today, working with Walmart. Thank you.
On that note, we'll end it. Thank you all for your time, and we appreciate it.